Hi, fifth graders. This is Miss Anderson, and for today's lesson, we're going to use Scholastic Literacy Pro. So, what I would like you to do once you've gotten to your applications page and clicked on Scholastic Literacy Pro, and you're at the page where I am right now, yours might look slightly different than mine because I have a teacher page. You're going to go over to this button that says Book Search and click on it. And then together, we're going to type capital U, capital S, space, regions, Regions. Okay, and you'll notice right here, this is the book that comes up. So we're going to click on this book. You can scroll down. And we're going to read it together. So click right here that says Read It Now. Here's the cover. So what I notice on the cover is that it says Explore More. It's a Scholastic book. The title is U.S. Regions. And I notice 4 separate pictures on this title. I notice the Statue of Liberty over here, which I know is in New York Harbor. And I know from right here, it looks like this is the farmlands. Okay, and from right here, this is a cactus. And I notice the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, which is in California. So these are the different US regions. Regions are groups of states that are in the same area. So what we're going to do is we're going to read this book together, and we're going to use some of the tools on Scholastic Literacy Pro to help us. So as you can see, I'm just using these 2 green arrows to navigate through the book. You already know how to do that, but just in case you didn't, I'm going to show you. So if you take a look at the table of contents, you notice there's some beautiful mountains in the background. There's the Statue of Liberty right here. We're going to read Chapter 1, A Nation of Contrast, which starts on page 6, and Chapter 2, The Northeast, which starts on page 9. Now, A Nation of Contrast is going to be an introduction to the rest of the book. So this is going to tell us what the rest of the book is going to be about. And it's going to tell us about the entire United States. So let's get started. Okay, Chapter 1, A Nation of Contrasts. I like to take a look at all of the different text features that I have on my page before I start reading. So up here, I have the name of the first chapter, I have the title of the chapter, and over here, I have a picture of a map, and the title of the map is Regions of the United States. Now, if I use my zoom in tool a little bit more, I can see that this map is labeled with all the abbreviations for each of the state. Each state in the United States has a 2-letter abbreviation. And I noticed that each of these states has different color patterns. And you'll notice down here on the map key that it's going to tell you the different regions based on the different colors. So today we're going to read about the Northeast, which is also called New England. We live in New England. So that's the light green color. So if I come up here and I find all of the states with the light green color, I can see their abbreviations. ME stands for Maine, NH is for New Hampshire, VT is for Vermont, MA is for Massachusetts, where we live, RI is for Rhode Island, and CT is for Connecticut. So those are the states that make up New England and the Northeast states. Okay, so we're going to zoom out a little bit and we're going to read this page together. A Nation of Contrasts. Fly east to west across the United States. Leaving eastern cities behind, you pass over endless stretches of farmland. Farther west, the farmland gives way to towering mountains and deserts. Beyond the mountains is the rocky Pacific coast. So what they're talking about is east to west. So if you remember your cardinal directions, east is this way, okay? So they're talking about going from east across these big cities in New York. New York City is right down here, and you'll start to see endless stretches of farmland over this way. And then you'll see mountains and deserts. And then beyond that is the Pacific Rocky Coast, which is all over in here. Okay, let's keep reading. Every region of the United States is different. Each has developed according to its geography and climate and people. Each brings its own traditions and history to the mixture that forms the United States. So this paragraph is telling me that every one of these regions is different in some way, and it's developed, which means it's been created according to its geography and climate. I want to take a look, and people, but I want to take a look at these two words because these two words might be unfamiliar to me. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to use my highlighter tool. I'm going to click yellow because I like to use yellow to highlight. And I'm going to highlight this word geography, and I'm going to highlight this word climate. Now, these words are not bold, so I can't look them up right here, but I can think about the different context clues in these sentences to help me understand what those two words mean. So each has developed according to its geography and climate and people. Okay. Well, according to its people, so the people who live there are all different. You might remember as fifth graders, we talked about climate quite a bit when we talked about climate change. Climate is weather over time. So the geography must mean what the land looks like. Okay, so we're going to take a little notepad right here, a sticky note. I'm going to click on this, and we're going to say click or tap on the page to add a note. I'm going to come right down here, and we're going to type in geography is the land in a certain place, including mountains, rivers, lakes, oceans, etc. Okay, and then the other word that we wanted to look at was the word climate. So we remember that climate is the weather over time. And I'm going to click save right here. That way, if I come back to this page, I have my little sticky note right here, and I can remind myself of what geography and climate mean. Let's take a look at the next page. So that was a pretty short chapter. That was chapter 1. And then we learned that all of the regions of the United States are different, and they're different according to geography, climate, and people. So now we're going to read this chapter called the Northeast. It's a pretty short chapter. It's about 2 pages long. And again, I'm going to take a look at the text features on this page. So the first thing I notice is this, oops, let me close this right here, is this big, beautiful picture of what New England looks like. Now, we live in this area, so this looks very familiar to us. We have lots of beautiful trees around, big buildings. There's a church right here that's really common to see in this area. I'm going to take a look at this caption, and I'm going to see what this caption has to say about this picture. A village nestled amid fall foliage is a classic New England scene. So this looks like a village. A village is a very small place. It's smaller than a city or a town. And then they're saying fall foliage. Foliage is the color of the leaves on the trees. And we know that in the fall, the leaves turn colors and get very beautiful. So the next thing I notice is the chapter heading. This is chapter 2. And then I see the Northeast. I also notice here 2 bold words, Puritans and immigrants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my highlighter again. And even though it's already bolded for me, I like to put my highlighter right on there and highlight it one more time. I'm going to click the X up here. Now, here's what's great about Scholastic Literacy Pro. If I want to know what a highlighted word or a bold word means, I can click on that word and watch what happens. Puritans. It reads it for me, so it tells me what the word says, and then it gives me a definition of the word. So it says, one of a group of Protestants in 16th and 17th century England who sought simple church services and a strict moral code. Many Puritans fled from England and settled in America. And I can see other word forms, so it can also be, in the plural form, Puritans, syllables, if I clap it out, Puritan, right? So that's what Puritan means. I can come back to this one and click on immigrants. And see, it tells me what it says. And it's a noun. It's someone who moves from one country to another and settles there, as in German immigrants. So a person who came from Germany to live in the United States would be a German immigrant. A synonym for immigrant could be a foreigner, or a pioneer. Other word forms, so in the noun form, you can say immigration. So we know that TION says shun. The customs officers at the border are trying to stop illegal immigration. That's something you might have heard a lot about on the news lately. Verb, immigrate. My parents immigrated to this country when they were, and I can keep going, when they were teenagers. And then I have the syllables that I can clap out, immigrant. And I even have this wonderful, helpful picture that says a caption underneath it that says immigrants. So now I know what that means. So now I'm ready to read this page. So let's read this page together. The Northeast. White church steeples and hills ablaze in autumn colors are classic pictures of New England in the Northeast. Puritans from England settled here in the 1600s. Their strict ways helped create the image of the stern, hardworking Yankee. From the 1800s, waves of immigrants, Irish, Italian, and others, arrived in the 6 New England states. Today, the mix of cultures is on display in Boston, Massachusetts, and other cities. The region draws vacationers to its historic sites, ocean beaches, and forested mountains. So, what did we learn from this page? We learned that white church steeples are really common. There's beautiful hills and foliage. We learned that the Puritans from England settled here in the 1600s. Do you remember what Puritans are? Let's check. It's a group of Protestants, so it's a group of people who came over from England in the 1600s. They were very strict, and they created the image of the stern, hardworking Yankee. So there's an image of people who live in New England as being very stern. Stern means very serious and hardworking. And then we have lots of different immigrants who arrived in the 1800s to all of the 6 New England states. Okay, and we can also see down here that this region has vacationers to historic sites. People come to vacation to see the historical sites that we have here, the beaches and the mountains. Let's keep going.